Hello and welcome back. I am now going to illustrate the process of uploading master data into the system using Legacy System Migration Workbench or LSMW. This is a step-by-step process which begins with creating a project, a sub-project, and object. So let us go ahead and open a new LSMW session. This is a project that I was working on earlier. We're going to create a new project by going to Create Entry. And then I'm going to change this to 10. Enter. Again, we change this to 10. And finally, we have the object, which is again test 10. So the project will be the organizational unit used for field assignments. Then the sub-project will refer to data of an individual plant. And finally, the object will refer to or will be used to transfer data to SAP. So we go ahead and enter. And now we need to create our recording. That is a menu there. We go to Recordings. We highlight it. And then we create Recordings. And I'm going to call it Rec 10. And that is recording for equipment. And here is the owner I am the owner of this recording here. So once that is done, we need to enter this transaction code. It's going to be IE08, actually IE01, which is the transaction code for equipment. Then enter. And since we want to reference the internal number range defined earlier during customization, we are going to leave this particular field blank. So we go ahead and enter. And now we need to populate the tabs that we have here. The first one is the General tab. And we need to enter the description of our equipment. It's going to be compressor. At this point, it's available. And this is a valid form date. So the object type is compressor, which is 1008. It's right there. And then you need to enter the manufacturer. It's going to be Danfoss. Then the model, which is Model T. We move on to Location tab. And here we need to enter the maintenance plant, which is 3000. The location is going to be production area. Then we have the ABC indicator. Again, we can select it as reduced production loss. And you can populate the rest of the fields depending on what fields you want to maintain. So once that is done, we can move on to organization. Again, here we need to enter the cost center. In my case, it's going to be 328. And I have the planning plant as 3000. I need to enter the planner group, which is going to be UT7. That is mechanical planning. So the last tab that we need to maintain here is the structure. And here I need to enter the functional location. And it's going to be UT-NPG-01-CCS-P12. And that is my function location where I'm going to install the equipment. And once I do that, once I install it here, then the status is going to change to install. So, and as you can see here, the status has changed from available to installed. So once we do that, we can now go back to, and actually before we go back, we need to save. So we say yes. And here is the recording which has been created. So this is a recording for equipment. And we want to see the default all. So these are the fields that we have just populated. One of them was manufacturer model number. We had the manufacturer of asset is right here. That is a type of technical object. And we had the valid from date. So all that is how that information will appear. So we need to go ahead and save. And then we can go back to our project selection screen here. We need to continue from there, execute. And now we have the process steps here. Start the data upload process from this screen here. So the first thing we need to do is to maintain object attributes. So we go ahead and execute that. And right now it's in display mode. We need to change it to change mode. So we have 4 modes of data transfer here. We have the standard batch direct input. We have the batch input recording. We have business object method. And we have IDOC. In our case, we are going to use batch input recording. And we are going to enter our recording, which is 10. And we can go ahead and save. So that is going to be test 10. And again, this is a recording of equipment. So once that is saved, we can go back. And now we can move on to maintain source structure. So we highlight source structure. And then we create a structure. And I'm going to call it structure underscore equipment. And it's going to be structure for equipment. Enter. Then we can save. And then we can go back to maintain source fields. So to do that, we first go to object overview. And we need to click on table. That is a display object overview. And here we have the tab name. We have the field description. We have the character type and the length, the character length. So what we need to do is to copy some of these fields in an Excel sheet. So we can select the tab name here. Then we need to select type and the target length. So once we do that, we need to copy that into an Excel spreadsheet. And I have done that here. So that is the information that I have already copied here. So one of the tricks that you need to do here is to change column B to C. That is character. You just delete HAR and you're left with C. So this is the table that we're going to use in the next step. So we can go ahead and execute this, and then we change to create field. Actually, we are not going to create field, but we're going to go to table maintenance. We need to place our cursor here, and then we need to maintain this table here. So we're going to go and pull up the table that we just copied, which is right here. And we need to paste it here. So we have the field name, we have the type, and we have the character length. So this is the only field that has not been populated. But once we save, then we say that it has been populated. So that that information has been pulled up from the information that we had earlier, and that is populated. So we go ahead and save, and then again move back. We want to save it, and now we want to maintain structure relations. So we execute. That's a relationship there. So we get the information that a source structure is already assigned to target structure recording 10. So we don't do anything to that. Go ahead and save. Then we go back. And now we are going to maintain field mapping and conversion rules. So this is the recording for equipment. And what we need to do here is to go to display. We go to change mode. And then we go to extras. Then to auto field mapping. So here we have the auto field mapping settings. So we're going to go ahead and enter. And we are going to accept the proposals that we are given here. So proposal 1 is to the valid date. We accept proposal. We have the proposal for equipment category, accept, technical object, accept, manufacturer, model number, display text, valid from. We have the maintenance plant, location, ABC indicator, company code, cost center, planning plant, planner group, functional location. Then we have the date and time, and auto field mapping is complete now. So we go ahead and enter. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And then we can go back. And now we need to maintain fixed values translations. These are user-defined routines. And since we don't have any user-defined routines at this point, we are not going to do anything to that step there. We're going to move on to specify files. And again, we execute. Then we have legacy data. That is going to be on the PC front end. So I'm going to go to the change mode. And then we're going to double click on legacy data because we want to pull up this information from my PC here. And that is in a notepad that I created earlier. And just to give us an idea of what that is, it's actually this information here. This information here, I have transposed this to make column B entries to make them column headers. So we have equipment category as one of the headers, we have the manufacturer as another header, and that is what we have here. So we have the model number, display text, valid from, maintenance plant. So I have this in an Excel sheet, but for you to be able to upload it, you need to have it in a notepad. So I got this information here. I mean the first entry here. I selected that and copied into a notepad, and that is the information that you see here, and that is what we are being asked to upload right here. So if you click on that, I need to go get my file again, which is a notepad, and it's going to be on my desktop here, and that is a text document. I'm going to call it data file, and I need to make sure the delimiter is set to tabulator, and then we can enter. Again, that data file is right here, and this is where I got it from. And this information here, it is this particular information transposed. And then what you need to here, this is my first entry. If I have another equipment, then I need to enter right here. So I can populate all these fields. If I need to add about 10 equipment, then I need to enter that information here and populate location, plant section, and all the relevant data for that particular equipment. So in my case, I only have one equipment, and that is a Danfoss compressor, which is under this category. So once we do that, we need to save, and then we go back to assigning files. Again, I execute that, make the assignment. A file has already been assigned to source structure, so I don't do anything to that. I go ahead and save, and then go back. Right now I need to read data, execute, then I need to, the system is trying to access the file that is on my desktop, so I'm going to allow, and now we can see that this is a source structure. One record has been read, one record has been written, and I didn't have any failures here. So transaction 1 has been read, one record has been read, transaction written is 1, records written is 1. So once that is done, I can go back to our process steps here. So I'm now going to display read data. Actually, before I do that, I need to execute. And this is the data that has been read. So let's go ahead and see what has been copied here. So that is a structure, and this is the information that has been populated. And again, this information here came from this WordPad that I created. So if you had several entries, this is the first entry, you'd have your other entries down here. So we're now going to convert data. Again, execute. That transaction read is one record, one written transaction. So finally we need to display the converted data, and again that is the data that has already been converted. Again, this is what we saw earlier as we were reading data, and here you can confirm whether your information is correct. In this format you can be able to go through each of the items and then confirm that the information that you have here is correct. So we're now getting close to the final step, and we want now to create batch input session. So to do that, again, we execute, and we want to make sure that we keep batch input folders. So we have to have that checked. I am the user. This is a batch input folder. Remember, we created this as our recording, and this is the project name that we assigned to our project. So we're going to go ahead and execute. So one batch input folder with one transaction has been created. And finally, now we need to run batch input session. So execute, then you highlight it, and then you go to process. You want to process some of it in the foreground, especially if you have a lot of lines of data, just to make sure that everything is going on well. And then we can go ahead and process. So create equipment initial screen. So I see that we had a problem here. Equipment category is not supported. So the format that we used is not correct. We should have used A for machines. So I can make that change there. So general data, that's location there. That is organization tabs here. We have the create equipment structure. Then we have that's actually structure 2. Structure, and processing of batch input session is complete. So we can go to session overview, and here we can see that that is a session name. I'm the one who created it. This is the date that I created it. This is the time. And I have one transaction here. And if I had any transaction with errors, I would be able to see it here. So now the master data for the equipment has been uploaded in the SAP system. So thank you for watching. That is how you go about working with LSMW. Please, if you want to practice this, you can go to my website, which is www.bridgesicloud.com, and you can download SAP Sandbox there, which you can use to practice or to have hands-on practice on all these skills that we are learning in these videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.